Sometimes a game comes along that just screams your name. It's the exact right game at the exact right time, with all the atmosphere and gameplay that you just really want. For me, Cosmodread is that game. It's the follow-up to PSVR1 cult classic Dread Halls, and improves on the formula in almost every way imaginable. Now, Cosmodread doesn't around. Within seconds of starting the game, you're embarking on your mission. No cutscenes, no NPCs, no story, no nothing. You're immediately thrown onto a massive ship, infested with enemies. And in typical Dead Space fashion, everything on the ship is broken, and it's your job to get it up and running. So, you set out to find the bridge, navigation room, and repair the jump drive in order to bring the ship back to Earth. Now, this is all infinitely harder than it sounds, though, because, well, Cosmodread is a roguelite. So what does that mean? Well, mostly it means that you're going to die a lot, and every time you die, you lose everything you have and start over from the beginning. It also means that on every run, the ship's layout, along with the weapons and items you find, will change, all being procedurally generated or randomly placed. Luckily, you have a mini-map on your wrist, which is helpful, but that still means you'll be wandering from room to room, trying to see the whole ship as fast as possible, unlocking doors, killing enemies, keeping your oxygen levels up, and just trying to survive. And when you find yourself out of ammo, desperately looking for health, and running away from every enemy, you suddenly realize Cosmodread exemplifies survival horror to a T.
Okay, I might be losing my marbles here, but listen to this.
As you explore the ship, you'll find audio logs that fill in the backstory, but also give you tips on how the game works, like enemy weaknesses and how to keep them from regenerating. And you'll collect zip drives that have blueprints on them, and I'm not sure if I should admit this or not, but it wasn't until about 2 or 3 hours into the game that I finally figured out how to craft items that I unlocked. And this will change everything about the way you play Cosmodread. Every item scattered around the ship can be scrapped to craft weapons and ammo, or even better, expand your inventory. So if you're like me, you'll start dumping anything and everything into the 3D printer in the hopes that it'll come in handy later on. If you're able to accomplish all your goals on a single run, you should be able to finish it in anywhere from 45 to 90 minutes, depending on how you go about everything. But getting to that point will take hours and hours of practice, and for me it took about 7, but your mileage will vary. It all comes down to your skill level and the random nature of the game. Sometimes you'll have a run that's filled with so much ammo you don't even know what to do with it all, and other times you'll be out of bullets in the first 5 minutes. You just never know how difficult the game will be or what they'll throw at you. These difficulty ebbs and flows can be frustrating, but that never stopped me from wanting to play again after a painful death. And if you want to mix things up, there's a ton of unlockable mods here too to keep things interesting. Now, even though Cosmodread has a relatively simple look with basic-looking repetitive rooms, it is pretty damn scary. The shadows are great, lights will flicker, and there are monsters growling behind almost every wall to keep you on your toes. Now, I'm not sure if I'm scared or just tense, but either way, when you're having a good run, the last thing you want is to lose all of your progress, and that alone can be nerve-wracking. I do have a few minor complaints though. Every once in a while the frame rate inexplicably starts to chug a little. Items can fall out of your hand just seemingly from hitting the environment, and I wish there was way more haptic response in the controllers, like when you open doors or pump your shotgun. Oh, and when you fire weapons too, without any rumble, taking down enemies doesn't feel all that impactful. I know that these are futuristic space weapons and all, but still.
Impossible, I thought, as I peered through the brush. Buried under the earth was a forest so lush.
You might not know this, but the game Spelunky on PlayStation Vita is one of my favorite games of all time. And it's almost like the one-man team over at White Door Games knew that, took the formula, and then infused it with first-person VR horror to make the perfect game for, well, me, apparently. So if you're like me and love all of those things, buy Cosmodread without hesitation. For everyone else, well, you're on your own.